Hi, I'm MARKIE SCHOLZ of Dragons Are Too Seldom Puppet Theater. I have been a puppeteer for 49 years, traveling all over the United States. I've gotten to go to Europe a few times and actually gotten to go to China once. It is more fun than anything I know. It's been my living and it's been my joy forever. So I've decided that I would like to share some of what I do with a bigger audience. So this is how to make a sock puppet. And before I start, I want to show you some of my puppets and some of the things that I do with the size and everything. This is Zed. That's right, I'm Zed. I don't need any introduction. I'm a young dragon and I am awesome! Zed thinks that he's the star of every show. I am. Well, not exactly, but since the name of my theater is Dragons Are Too Seldom, then it's only fair that dragons play a big part in it. And we should. It's wonderful. Zed, I'd like you to watch this instead of being part of it. But I can help. I've made sock puppets. I know you have, but let's just start with the basics first, okay? So could you watch? If I have to. So today we are going to make a sock puppet. Now, to begin with, it helps if you have some basic things around so that you have all of the things that you're going to need to begin with so you don't have to keep running off to get stuff. One of the things you need, of course, first is a sock. And the thing about socks is that when I do workshops, and I do it with hundreds and hundreds of kids, I always get brand new white socks. I try to get tube socks if I can. If I can't, then crew socks. I try to get them either women's size or large boys' socks because that seems about the right size. Make sure that you don't get one that's gigantic and that fits your hand pretty well when you have your hand in it. You don't have to use white socks. You can use all kinds of different colors of socks. If you use something like this, then it would be a whole different way that your puppet would look when it was finished. Or, you know, a toe one. This would be the mouth, so that pink toe would be the inside of your puppet's mouth, which would be very interesting. But we're going to start with white on this one because it's the basics, and so you can go on from there. Now, along with the sock, you will need an oval. You need to cut this out of poster board, light cardboard, even the side of a milk jug after it's empty, because that makes a really good inside of the mouth, which is what this piece is. It's 5 inches tall by 3 inches wide. And so if you cut that oval out, this will be your puppet's mouth. You also need a glue stick. Now you need a glue stick for just putting the mouth into the puppet. After that, don't use the glue stick anymore. Use a hot glue gun. This is a low temp hot glue gun, and it doesn't burn as bad, but it still burns. So it's very, very important that when you're working with a hot glue gun, no matter what your age, that you're extremely careful with it. The way it works, and this is a small one that you can get them at places like Walmart for $2 a piece. And the thing that is the most important to remember about a glue gun is that tip is metal and it's very, very hot. So be sure you don't lay that on your skin, on your friends, on anything like that. But when you have your glue gun in your hand, you need to be watching the tip at all times because that's the part that's a little dangerous. There's a trigger on it, and when you're ready to glue, what you're going to do is pull that trigger, not a lot, just a little bit. And when you glue, we will always be gluing on the flat, because if you glue in the air or if you glue with the puppet on your hand, it's really easy to get burned. So that will be that. Now, as far as supplies for your puppets, anything goes. You can use a million different things. I have art foam here. I have pom-poms. I have big pom-poms. I have buttons. I have tiny pom-poms, which make all kinds of things. I have things that are cut out of shapes that are cut out. If you don't have those shapes, you can cut them out so that they are a shape. These are made out of Pellets, and Pellets is a wonderful thing to use on puppets because it stands up. And so it really is a good thing to use. I have felt. If I want to make a tongue or something like that, I can cut it out. But it's always good to trace a pattern onto something before you cut it out, because you can waste a lot of fabric just trying to get it the right shape. So and there's just I have pipe cleaners. Pipe cleaners are great. You can do a million things with pipe cleaners. And so I think we are ready to start making a puppet. All along the line, any place that you get to where you need to put something on or you need to do something, pause the video, and then you can do what you need to do, and then come back, and then we'll do some more and do some more until we're done with this, okay? Now with your puppet, your sock, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take that sock and you're going to turn it inside out. The reason you're going to do that is that the inside of the sock is a little sloppier. It's got strings hanging off, and sometimes it has fuzz on one side and not on the other. So always it's best to use the other side of the sock for your puppet, unless you really like fuzzy, and then this side would be much better. But we are now working on the inside of the puppet's body, and so we are going to take the sock, and this particular sock has a heel on it. And I don't want the heel off to the side because it's a lump and it just is in the way. So what I'm going to do to keep that from happening, to keep the heel on the back or the front, is I'm going to go up to the toe, and if you notice just below the toe, there's a line where it was sewn together. If you take that line and you put it from one side to the other side, like this, so that you can see it goes from one side to the other, you'll see that the heel is in back or in front. Once you get that all straightened out, lay the sock down and we will get back to it. Okay, now you are ready with your oval. You have cut out an oval that is 3 inches wide by 5 inches tall, okay? And that makes an oval. Okay, now what you're going to do with this is you're going to take this oval and you're going to fold it in half as if it were a taco shell, so that it's like a taco shell. If you fold it the long ways, it ends up looking like a hot dog bun, and that's not going to work. So we're making a taco shell sort of thing, although I don't think I'd like to eat it. Anyhow, once you get that folded, what I want you to do is to lay it on your table, on your flat, and I was going to get something so you could see this better. I'll put it on here so you can see it. So that you can see that that it's flat, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take your glue stick, and we are going to put glue all over the inside, as if you were putting the lettuce and the meat and the cheese and everything all over, to one end to the other, and so that it is flat open like that, but it has glue all over it. I like to use the glue sticks that are purple before they dry, and the reason I do is so that I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so on this, it's really important that when you take the cap off, that you put it someplace so you can put it back on as soon as you're done. This is the only step we'll do with hot glue, or with the glue stick. So what you're going to do is make sure that your glue is up high enough so that it can glue, and then you're going to take your glue stick and you're going to get purple all over, or whatever. If it isn't purple, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you get all the way up to the edge, all over the inside of the mouth. And once you've done that, the first thing you do is put your cap back on, and then put this away because you won't use it again. But what you have is you have the inside of your oval completely covered with glue. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to take your sock, which you have neatly folded out so that hem is showing, and the toe, and we're going to be working on the toe. So we'll take this glue thing and we will put it so that the toe is right up to the edge of the fold. So I'm going to do this while it's down. I just did that in the air so you could see it a little bit more. Okay, so you're going to put it so that it's down, and then fold the other side so that it goes, so you're just actually covering the tip of the sock, both sides, and you're going to hold on for a while. Now, if you need to stop the video to do that, go ahead. And then when you come back, you will have the sock hanging off, and you will have held this long enough so that it will stick. All right? Now, what you're going to do next, if you have a friend, then it's really easy, is to have you hold your sock so that you have your fingers on the top and you have your thumb on the bottom. Okay, that's because you're holding onto the puppet's mouth. Then you have your friend pretend like your hand is a foot and pull the sock over on both sides so that you're wearing the sock. Okay? But since I don't have a friend with me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and pretend like I'm about to put on a sock. So I'm going to take it all the way up to the toe, and then, all the way up to the toe, and then I'm going to make sure that I keep that cardboard in place as I pull the sock all the way over, so that then your puppet has a mouth, which is pretty cool. Okay, so this is what I call a body blank. Now what this is the beginning of whatever it is that you want to make. And now you can make anything. You can make a frog, a dog, a rat, a lizard, a cyclops, a vampire. You can make anything you want. But in order to do that, you have to understand what it is that makes that look like something. For instance, if you're going to make a bunny, you're going to have tall ears on the top. If you put the ears so that they go down on the side like this, if I took this and made it into an ear and put it down like this, even though there are bunnies that do have long ears like that, it's probably not going to look like a bunny unless you do an awful lot with the face. So what you need to do when you get to this stage is you need to figure out what it is that you would like to make. Whether you would like to make anything, it's up to you. But first thing we have to know about it is what each part of it is. Now, since I have a heel on the back, I try to make this so that it's on the back, so that it's out of the way completely. But when we look at the puppet's face, that puppet's face is going to be from the tippy toes of your fingers to the top knuckles. And that's all your puppet's face is, okay? So if I put this right alongside of it, then I can see exactly how big my puppet's face is going to be. Now, what I do, one of the things that if you have a pen of any kind, what you could do is make little tiny marks, not big ones, but little tiny marks to show where things go. With your finger, your eyes are going to go where your first knuckles are, where these knuckles are. So if you lay your hand on your puppet, you'll see that that's also where the very back of that fold is on your mouth. So if you take your pen and make a teeny, teeny, teeny dot, tiny dot, so that only you will be able to see it, then you'll know that that's where your eyes are going to go. Then if you take your pen and the hair and ears and everything are going to go where that second set of knuckles is, the one that goes right into your hand. So I'm going to lay this down again, and I'm going to mark a little mark there so that I know when I don't have my hand in it and I'm trying to glue something, I'll know where things go, because you do not want your hand in here when you're gluing with a hot glue gun. Okay, so I know where my eyes are going to go. I know where my hair is going to go. Now I need to think about what I'm going to do to make it look like what I want it to look like. And, there's a million different ways you can go with this. The thing that's interesting about it is that you can have it so that you put the eyes directly on the sock, and then when you talk with your sock, you're going to have to keep it down a little bit like this so that we can see those beautiful eyes. Or you can add pom-poms and right where they would go, and then you don't have to bend your hand so hard because you can put an eye on top of it. So just for this, I think what I'm going to do is show you, first of all, and I do have jiggly eyes in here. When my workshops, I don't hardly ever use jiggly eyes because I think that it takes a lot of the imagination away if you have something that's already built for you. But you'll notice that even the jiggly eyes have a background and a different color in the center. And what I like to do if I use jiggly eyes is to use one more layer. So I put a layer behind it, and then that gives me a better jiggly eye so that so that it looks more like an eye. So that if I put it on my puppet where I think it belongs, then that will give me a much better eye. But if I do the pom-pom, then what I will do is I will take the pom-pom, put a little glue on it, put it where the eye needs to go, and then I'll do the same. Now, one of the things that works the best probably when you're using a glue gun is to not get burned, is to put the glue on the sock. Not a lot, just a little bit on the sock, and then put whatever it is that you're adding to it on top of that. Push down for a minute. It's not going to take long for the glue to dry. It's going to take less than 30 seconds. And this is the thing. If you put your glue down and then you say, oh, I don't know if I want that or this, or if you take more than 30 seconds, it's not going to stick because it's already dried. So once you know what you're going to do, then put your glue down and then put whatever it is that you want on top of it. Now, if I put my eyes like this, and I'm going to use a jiggly eye, I'm going to put it in front so that it looks out at the audience instead of on top, so it looks up at the ceiling, okay? So I will take and again, I want to put it on the front of the glue, or on the front of the pom-pom, so that it's stable. And I will take and I'm going to make this eye touch the fabric, touch the front of the puppet, so that the eye will show, okay? I'll do the same thing with the other eye. and put it on. And I just did it the way I told you not to do it, but it's better if you put it on the pom-pom and then put the eye on top of it. And then you have eyes already done. Now, if I don't want to do that, oh dear, I let it dry too much. And that one of the ways that you can get stuff back off, if you put that tip on where you glued, sometimes it'll release it and you can take it back off again. But I just have to get it so it comes a little bit. I think I can cut it, and always good to have scissors. And cut it off like that. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, because I want to try something else. I want to try not using pom-poms so that we have another thing that we can do. Say, for instance, I wanted to make heart-shaped eyes. I could make them so that they were both pink or whatever color, or I could make them so that they were not the same color. It doesn't matter, because this is a puppet, so you get to use your imagination to make it be whatever you want it to be. So if you would, so what you could do is you can take a pom-pom and you could put that in the center of it. You could take a button and put that, okay, there you put a button in the center, and that's a whole different shape of an eye. Okay, so that if I do this, and I decided that maybe what I'm going to do is I'm again doing it on the flat, and I want to cover up this green because I don't want it to show. But I will put a heart there and a heart here, and I'm going to go back in and glue the tips down because I didn't get them glued down, and they probably should be, so that they don't flap around, because eyes hardly ever flap around. And then I'm going to take, let's say, I'm just going to take a black button and put in the center of it. Now, when you glue buttons, be ever so careful, because they have holes in the center of them. And if you, and the glue can come out of that and burn you. So be very careful when you lay them down that you stay on the rim. Okay, so then I have eyes. Now, I think maybe this is going to be a bunny, because why not? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use pipe cleaners for ears. I don't have to use pipe cleaners. I could use a million other things. I could use these guys. I have some shapes here that would make great ears. But it looks a little more like a monster than it does like a rabbit. So I'm going to take, I think red would be a good one, and I'm going to take a whole pipe cleaner and I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to pinch it. And again, anything that you want to try, pause the video and try it. The thing about it is you want to try a bunch of things before you decide what it is that you're going to do, so that you get exactly what you want. Okay, now I've made this into a tall ear, and I have put a little bend in the bottom on both sides. And the reason I did that is so that I can get it to stick where it belongs. And so I'm going to take my glue gun. I'm going to put a little bit of glue across where I can get both of those little tabs I put on the bottom into it. And then I'm going to hold, this one I'm going to hold for a minute or two, or not even a minute or two, but 30 seconds or so that I can make sure it sticks. But once it does, then I not only have an ear, but I have an ear that I can play with. I can make it be sharp. I can make it bend down. I can do all kinds of things with it. If I wanted to, I could line it with something. This shape is the wrong shape, but if I cut out the shape I wanted, I could hot glue this in so that I had an inside to my ear as well. What I'm saying to you is that there's a million different possibilities that you can do, and that you need to experiment and experiment, and always you want to think, what else? What else can I do? What would be more? Now, that has a limit to it. I mean, if you decide that you want to have little freckles out of pom-poms, then putting this many on so that you have a handful and you just put them all over the place, that's kind of overkill, and it kind of makes it so it doesn't read so well. So what you need to keep doing is thinking about what you need to make this look the best it can look. Now, I've decided my bunny needs to have hair. So I have yarn, and one of the best ways I found to get yarn so that you have enough so you can put it around is to grab a hold of one end of it and pinch it. So I've got, and I just dropped the rest of it on the floor. Now I'm going to wrap this around my arm as many times as I think I need to, and I've got a knot in there, so that's going to be an interesting thing. And when I get to the number I think that I want, I'm going to cut it. So then I have a loop like this. Now, if I want to, I could put that whole loop on and have the rabbit have hair. I would also have to have another ear, but so she can have hair like that. If you decide to do that, you might take another little piece of yarn and wrap it around the middle of this so that you'll have something to glue against. And that makes a huge difference when you're gluing it, because all you have to do is put glue where you want it to be and put that knot that you made there too, and then you can have glue. Now, if I wanted to, I could make this. See, I've got this knot here that I don't particularly like, so I'm going to cut that out because I can. And then I could cut the ends so that it would look more like hair, or I could actually double it again and put it so that she had shorter hair. And again, I probably would cut both ends so that it would look the way I wanted it to. Okay, so we have hair if we want it. We have ears. If we had a hound dog, we'd have them down like this. If we had a bunny, we'd have much, much smaller ears. You know, not a bunny. If we had a dog, it'd be much smaller ears. But what we have not gotten to is the front of the face. So that if you want to, you probably need a nose. Now, see, your mouth is, it's right there. You can't put a smile on these puppets. If you put a smile on a puppet like this, what it ends up being is a mustache, which is a point, but that'd be fine. If you wanted a mustache, that'd be great. If you want to, you can line the lips so that you can take your pipe cleaner, whatever color you want, and you can line it. And so what you do if you do that is you do a little bead of hot glue very fast, and then get this on, and be very careful you don't touch the glue when you're putting the mouth on. Okay, so we have lips. So what about a tongue? I have a million options here. I could have a tongue. I have a shape that I have cut out here, and if I wanted to, I could take one part of it and cut it off and make it into a tongue. And I have many choices with this. Probably it's going to go on the bottom jaw, not on the top, but it could. And it could go all the way so it's sticking out all the time, or it could go way back in the mouth. All these choices are going to help you decide who your puppet is when it grows up. So you can put a tongue in, or not. And if I don't have a shape, I can take a piece of felt and I can fold it and so to the size I want it to be, or I maybe don't want to fold it. Maybe I just want to cut a little piece like this. Now I have a little piece. And I would like my money for some reason to have a forked tongue. I don't know why. But so I could put that in, and then I'd have a snake rabbit or something. Everything you do adds to its personality. Now, and I don't have this guy finished, but I have one that's kind of finished over here if I can get into him, because I was laying the hot glue gun on him, so he's kind of hard to get into. And I'm not sure I can. So what we could do is, this one is one that got made in a workshop, and it's got really nice jiggly eyes, but probably this one needs to be glued down a little more so that it actually looks at the audience when it's there. Okay, but what I haven't done anything with now is there's no tongue in this one, so I could add a tongue. But I still have this whole part. Now, when you're thinking about a puppet and doing something with it, you tend to want to do it back here. And if you do a cape or something like that, that's where it has to be. But really, the only person that sees back here is you, is the puppeteer. So if you're going to add anything like clothing or anything like that, then you want to have it be up front here. So if I wanted to have buttons, I could, let me go with buttons. So I could put buttons down here, so that it had buttons on the front. I could make a necktie if I wanted to out of this, so that it was around the neck. But if I do that, what I want to make sure of is that I don't get something too tight around here. If you put something like a collar or something like that, then it looks really good. Your problem is you will not be able to get your hand in and out. So you have to make sure that what you put right around here is big enough so you can stretch your hand in there into where the puppet belongs. Now, let's see, we have tongues, we have bodies, we have all kinds. And the thing about it is that I deliberately didn't have one that was all done and all fancy and all finished, because I wanted you to see the process. What I will do with this puppet that I have just started is I am going to work on it between now and the second part of this video, and I will have that puppet to be for the manipulation, for the show, for the rehearsal, for that kind of stuff. Because the idea is to take your time and get it so that it's right and good and it looks wonderful. Okay, so that's the basics of what we're doing. But I want to make sure that we go through a little bit of manipulation, just in case you don't get to the other video. But anyhow, what we want to do is first of all, I want to glue that eye on because it's driving me crazy. And don't ever do this with the puppet with your hand in there. Do as I do, not as I say. Other way around. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so we have the eyes, and we're going to learn how to do some basic things here. And really quickly, I'm going to take this off my hand because that's what we must do. And I'm going to maybe find that piece. I don't think I am, but I have this wonderful little thing, and I'm going to add this as a tongue so you can see the mouth move, and you can see how important it is to have something inside the mouth so it moves better. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to put the puppets on. They're finished. You have paused the video long enough so you can finish your puppet, turn it back on, and you have an odd looking puppet of some sort that you are very excited about, and know that you can make more and better ones. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have the puppet introduce itself. Hi, my name is Goofy Gut. I don't think I like that name very well. Hi, my name is Fred. All right, Fred. I would like for you to show people how their eyes work, how your eyes work. Okay, now you see I'm looking at things. If I have my hand up like this, then all I'm seeing is Markie behind me. But if I have my eyes down like this, I can see things. So the first thing I want you to do is look over there. Now, look back. Now, look over there. Now, look back. Very good. Yes. Now, look up. Now, look down. You see, my body did not move. I did not go like that to look over there. I stayed put, and I made my eyes go over there and do that. So number one is focus. That's number one. Number two is that you need to have some kind of a character that you're doing. Is your puppet old? Is it young? What's its name? How old is it? What does it do in its spare time? All of those questions you need to have in your head. And what I have found is the easiest to do is to pretend like you're something else. If you've seen a cartoon character that you think is funny, you can use that voice and all of the actions and everything, and probably you will never ever be able to be, nobody else will think that you're imitating that because you're doing your own thing. So, well, I don't know who I am, but I'm pretty cool, and my name is Fred. And so I have some kind of a personality in mind with this puppet. The next thing I have to do is figure out how to make the lips move. Every time my lips move, your puppet's lips move too. So when your mouth goes, wow, your puppet's mouth goes, wow. It opens wide and big. But if you go, it's a little motion, so you aren't opening your mouth very much. So you could actually look in front of a mirror, watch in front of a mirror, and see whether or not your puppet is doing what it should be doing. Okay, so we now have focus. We have lips moving when your lips move, and the next thing, of course, is a voice. You can make your voice go high. You can make your voice go low. You can make it sound like, well, just about anything. You can give it a really husky voice, but if it hurts your throat at all, don't use that voice. Figure out a way you can do it so it's not hurting your voice. Okay, so once you have, now you have the focus, you have the lip movement, you have the voice, and now there's one thing else, and this is the most important thing, and that is, whatever you do with your puppet needs to be done with enthusiasm and excitement. If you were to go to a concert to see your favorite performer and they said, "Ugh, I've had a tough week, I'm just going to sit down and say my words," that wouldn't be any fun. You want to have your puppet be excited, be energetic, be ready to go. So when you have all of those things put together, then you do something like, well, let's just try Jack and Jill went up the hill. So you're going to go, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill, well, she came tumbling after. And of course, a puppet always bows at the end. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is work on these and make some wonderful puppets. And then when you're ready, come back for the second part, which is we'll go into manipulation a lot more. We'll go into how you write a script. We will also do how you ad-lib things. And then we will figure out how you put a show together. And that's the next half hour. So thank you very much for playing with me.